Could you please state who you are and why you are here?
My name is Tim Biakabutuka. I am a traveling merchant from the Belgian Congo, and I have traveled all around Africa selling my goods and wares.
Ruler, King Leopold II. You say that he was a good ruler, wouldn't you say?
I would have to disagree. I feel that his actions were far too harsh for people that he did not even know.
So you say he had harsh actions, but yet he had people that followed him, did he not?
Yes, he had many followers who were controlling my people in the Congo.
So you say that they were obedient followers?
Very obedient. They followed his every word, no matter how harsh.
No matter how harsh. Okay, so can you explain exactly what Leopold and his Belgians did to your people?
Besides forcing us to work and harvesting rubber, we also were mutilated and sometimes raped by his men.
Cut off arm there. Could you please explain how this happened?
Well, when I was in the Belgian Congo, I fled with the other refugees north, but I met more mistreatment in northern Congo by the French. So I fled back and I was punished by having my arm cut off.
So not only was it the Belgians that were oppressive, but more, such as the French, that were also evil, would you say?
Yes, but not just the French. As traveling throughout Africa as a merchant, I've witnessed many other European countries doing the same thing to people.
Really? And did you witness any kind of discrimination there while you were down there?
Yes, I witnessed apartheid while I was down in South Africa, where they had many racisms against people from Africa.
Really? Not only was it the Belgians that you oppressed, your own family, your own people, but the entire, almost, European continent?
Yes. They felt like it was a game, like they just wanted to conquer as much of us as they could.
So, how do you feel about these colonizers who threaten your people?
I feel that they're evil. Who would take like the weak and just use them for their own selfish needs?
So, can you explain in your own words, basically humanity's, humanity as a whole? What would you characterize them as?
I would say that they're power-hungry people who would do anything to get what they want.
Mr. Biakabutuka, is it true that on the rubber plantation economies that your work was composed of making raw materials?
Yes.
Is it true that some of these materials besides rubber were composed of tobacco, coffee, and the production of sugar?
I was not taught enough what these things were made out of.
Is it true that your work had an impact on a global scale? Do you know?
Well, I would assume I'd better be good for something.
Do you consider you and your people evil?
No, what did we do?
Well, I'm very glad that you can make it to court today. I mean, after all the misery of being forced to work on plantations and your ability to catch diseases, I'm surprised that you still haven't killed yourself. I mean, do you have something to live for? I mean, relatives, friends, aren't they good people?
Well, my main reason here is to put you all in jail.
Do you know that 6 billion people walk on this earth?
Yes, and I also know that about
Thank you.
1,000 of them
Thank
killed
you.
millions of
Thank
people.
you.
Thank you.
Did you know that there were wars fought over slavery? That means that half the country believed that slavery was wrong. Did you know that there were abolition movements? What about Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Abraham Lincoln? Do you know them?
No, because you people didn't teach us anything.
And now my final question. Are you willing to condemn humanity based on the acts of only a few people?
If you mean few, I mean 1,000 who killed over 10 million people, then yes.
Could you kindly state your name and your reason for testifying in court today, for the record?
My name is Rosita Dominguero. I am testifying against the people who enslaved me, my family, and my fellow tribe members as part of the Bora community.
The Bora community. Interesting. Could you please talk about this community and what you guys, activities you took?
We were a coastal tribe, and we were a warrant community, which means we were pretty violent with each other. We played violent games. And we also fought over meaningless things. And since we lived on the coast, we saw ships from other countries pass by a lot.
Can you please tell us about how they enslaved you?
Well, first the Spanish enslaved our community, and they were led by Francisco de Orellana. And then thousands of Portuguese colonists helped to clear out the area that they wanted to colonize, even though hundreds of tribes and people, including my own, were living there.
All right. So you would say that this was not some kind of random event. It was very organized, very disciplined. Could you describe the process, how the people were following their orders?
Well, they all seemed to willingly take part in enslaving us or torturing us, and they were very disciplined, and it was as if they didn't even need a leader.
So while they were doing this, what did they make you do?
They made us work vigorously for them, and they were searching for gold in our area, so they made us look for it. And the days were usually very endless. They seemed like they went on forever. And they would make us work for a long time, and without hardly any breaks and hardly any food or water. And they kept us in pens called caicaras for many months, and that was so we couldn't get away, so they could still use us as slaves. And there were more than enough people packed into every pen, where there was hardly any air because there were so many people. And we suffered greatly from this.
Talk about suffering. Explain for us how you suffered.
We caught many contagious diseases from Spanish and other Europeans that helped them. The main one was smallpox, but many others arose as well, such as syphilis and pneumonia, all which were deadly if not treated.
So not only did they enslave you people, torture you people, and they also brought diseases.
Yes.
What these people that were enslaving you, did you ever try to escape, or did you ever try to start an uprising so you could get away?
Yes. Many people would try to revolt and try to escape from the slavery because, of course, no one wanted to be enslaved and working for people that, for no reason, tried to take over our land. And one time I tried to escape, and they threw an axe at my heel, and that is why I'm limping.
And you would say that they did this only to you, or?
They would do this to whoever tried to escape. They would take any measures.
Right. Did they introduce any new kind of beverages to you guys?
Yes, many of us got addicted to this new drink they brought to us called rum, which we called cachaca. In a short while, most of the tribes were completely rid of.
Do you feel that you deserved being oppressed and enslaved by these people?
No, it was completely unnecessary for them to come and attack us and torture us and make us work for them, and it was our continent and our home, and they took over and had no right to take our gold and things that belonged to us, and they destroyed our environment with slash and burn farming as well.
Slash and burn farming. That takes a lot of people to work properly, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right. So, how do you feel about, overall, about being enslaved and all these consequences?
Well, first of all, I was separated from my family. Some people that were in my tribe were still with me, but I greatly miss my husband and my 2 children, who I never saw again. And I'm very upset with the Spanish and other Europeans who did this to me and the people I loved. They ruined our lives, and it changed my views of them greatly. I will never get back the horrible years of my life that they tortured me and made me work for them.
Were the people who enslaved you very different from you, and how so?
Well, they came from other countries, so I've never really seen them before.
Do you think the fact that the people who enslaved you came from very different cultures, and did that influence the way Europeans tried to conquer you?
Well, they were very violent with us, but we were pretty violent with each other as well, so they weren't too different, except they tried to take over our land without our consent.
Do you consider humanity evil?
Do I consider humanity evil? Like overall in general?
Yes.
Yes.
And since you had family members enslaved, do you also consider them evil people, considering your husband and 2 kids?
Oh, yeah.